All right, let's go ahead and build the top of this baby. So we got, as the last show, we got the main thing, getting that boiler hooked up to the base, and now let's go ahead, and what we'll do is we'll go ahead and assemble it. I got all the stuff kind of out, and I don't need it a little arranged because everyone does too much of that. So we're going to go ahead and put it together. We'll do the sight glass. We got the washers, and then the two O-rings, two that fit down in there, the two gaskets. There's the glass tube. That's the one I had wrapped in the paper. The paper had 2008 on it, so wherever it came from, it was wrapped not super long, but pretty long. Nice clear piece of glass. And so first we'll put the little gasket and the, I'm going to try doing this sideways this time. The little gasket and the washer on each side. So every now and then I do a little different technique, but whatever works and is easiest is the right way to do it for you. We'll get those in, the sight glass and the two nuts, and then just kind of push that glass. That's the hardest part. There it is. Just kind of gingerly. I get it lightly moistened before, and sometimes you don't have it all the way down, but anyway, look at this. Is the for the gauge on the sight glass, there's a couple things there with the, there's been some things about threads not matching on tops, and here's kind of an example with all these 1/8 NPTs. Is the one L I bought, I wanted to have just one extra pressure gauge on the sight glass off a little L, but the male part of it just wouldn't screw into everything. So I got a really good adapter for the sight glass, but the L wouldn't screw in. But every other NPT thing would screw in. But when I started comparing a variety of things, certain things would screw right together like it was nothing, and other ones wouldn't screw, but the same thing on another one would. So I think that sometimes threads are just machined very well, and a lot of things aren't machined that good. So sometimes you get something that's machined really well, and it may have hard time fitting sometimes. That's true, but anyway, that's what this is showing. So I'm going to go with my original thought that I kind of went away from, but I'm going to have a little double pressure gauge off the sight glass, just because it looks neat and I like the way it is. And each gauge will be a little different gauge, so they'll read slightly different. It gives it that nice little steampunky look, a little extra style to this one, because it's really a kind of a standard one. And then I got this really good adapter for the gauge. See the difference in size? And that's the gauge adapter that my L wouldn't screw into. Now the chintzy little one it screwed right into, but I'll save that for something else, because I like those other adapters. They have a lot of thread. And on this, again, I'm going to use my little sealant. This thing has lasted me a long time. I use so little of it, but it's tended to work. And I use that on Tudor's pressure gauge too, so we'll see how that goes and see if I have to go back apart and use some tape on it, but I think it'll be fine. So we'll go ahead and place this one in, the little white washer, then the adapter. But I realized one thing. I took the adapter as the glass wasn't all the way down. See, that one wouldn't quite, so I kind of loosened and wiggled it there, and there it went, the last little bit. So I noticed once I was trying to screw that adapter in that my glass wasn't all the way down. I thought it looked, but it wasn't. So if that happens, you just kind of work it in. That's the last little crucial push is sometimes the problem, but it went in that good. Now that adapter will go right on that baby. And that's going to be really great. So we'll be able to do like our double stainless gauge there, so it looks kind of cool. So we got that in. Now we're going to do our next thing. I don't know, what should we put on next? Something here. We got those. Yeah, we'll go ahead. Let's just go ahead and do the steam wand. I'm not sure if this gasket is new on this. Pretty new, because I did a couple, but I'm going to put just a tiny bit of 111 on it. Really, the less is more. So tiny amount. Just it helps it seal a little better. And I always hate replacing those because I don't know. So even though lately I've got those handles off, I've had issues getting those handles off with certain ones that get really old and rusty. But anyhow, so we'll pop that baby on. Screw it in, tighten it down so that'll look good. There we go. Trying to keep a little clean here with all the 111 and the sealant and everything. I don't want to get it everywhere, but all right, so we got that side on. And let's do the wand. This is an older wand, but nice and matches everything, so that goes on. And now we'll go ahead and do the little pressure release. Got one of those. I'm putting on the new spring with the little plastic in. Sometimes you can get a new spring and just put your metal ball on. They all work out just about the same. It's all in that spring. And these older ones have a tighter spring than all the other ones. I think that's why they work better. And people on these newer machines are always hitting them with sticks and stuff, which anyhow, I just like the older springs. They just seem to work and not much trouble. So we got that on. And that's looking good. And now we'll go ahead and put the shower screen on the brew head. The brew head's all ready to go. And I just use this. I use the rounded edge, not the pointy end in the gasket. So I just kind of get that started with that. Push it down a little bit around. Just gently. I don't worry about getting it all the way. Just pretty good in. Because we'll seat it with a portafilter after that. So just do it gingerly. Don't like gouge. Just lightly push in the manner that you do. And, I don't worry about getting it all the way in right there. Just enough so that I can seal it with the portafilter. Of course, you have your gasket, and always remember your browse tube. I forget those sometimes because you get too excited, but we'll go ahead and get those on. I had to run down. I forgot to order those. I had to run down and get some. But they have some at the hardware store. Actually, the last two of this size, amazing enough. But so we'll put those on. And so, I tighten these down pretty snug at first, not like wrenching them down. I kind of go one side to the next so they're evenly, so that I don't tighten one too fast and the other one. But so I get those snug. Get the top on. We got a new gasket on that. That's an older top, but looks good on there. What else are we gonna do? Oh, we'll go ahead and screw the handle on. That's from Tudor too. I like the way he did that with the screwing in. Pavoni should have done that. The other way they last, but once they're broken, they're never quite the same. And you're rigging, and this is just such a better method. 10 times better. And they're just making us some. We're kind of having some avocado toast. We got a couple avocados, and we're going to have breakfast after this. So there we go, just the tiniest bit of that sealant. I don't use much, and I always close it up so it doesn't dry out afterwards. And I just wipe it on there. You don't need a lot. I think it kind of expands a little and hardens up. Not so much where you can't just wipe it off and take the thing out either, but I've had really good luck with the sealer. I think they have one that seals a little more, but this one, I forget, it was like $35 for that little tube. From Europe, I don't know if you can get it in the States, but anyway, it's an epic thing to have, and it's lasted so long that I'm not worried about its initial cost. I ended up putting one little gasket on this one because I wanted it to be snug, but face forward, so I think with the sealer, but I didn't want it to spin easy either, so in the end I put one little white gasket like you do on the sight glass in there, which fit kind of neat and looked nice because it was white and was non-intrusive, but it got that thing to sit facing out and not wiggle too much. All right, so we're looking good there. Keep everything clean. We're almost done with this top end. Let's see what else we're going to do. All right, yeah, let's go ahead and do let's spin it around. Let's see. Oh yeah, let's go ahead and do the gauges over here now. I may need to take that top off to fit the adapters, but those are on. And we're going to go ahead and assemble my little personalized touch here. Miniature amount of sealant, just the tiniest bit, and there we go. I like to do the kind of the double thing here. It just has a neat look, and Originally, I was going to do every doodad you had on this machine, but there's too many, and I realized it was too busy, so I wanted to go back since I've been kind of doing smooth and classic my last machine. And I wanted to kind of stick with that here with just a little bit of personalization, because you don't really need 2 pressure gauges or any of this really, but it looks pretty darn neat. And it looks extra neat if they're 2 separate types of pressure gauges, so that they don't point the same way when they're doing their reading. But as long as they show you your 1 bar, 1.5, that's all good. You don't necessarily have to worry about getting an actual espresso one. If you like them to, they charge a little more, but it's just whatever faceplate you like. And some of them have that lead in them, but not too many. And most of them don't. It's easy to tell if they're not LF, lead-free from one company, but most of them are. And there we go. It's going to look nice. There's the front one. That's going to face out. That has a rear threading, because I like to do those on an Elvis. They sit lower. It's much cooler. A little bit out of the way of the top, but to put this next one on, I'm going to have to pull the top off because it's going to hit it as you spin it down. But once it's on, it won't. The top won't bother it. But we'll do the same thing. Just the bare minimum, such a small amount. And I just get it in there and then wipe off some of the excess, even if I get too much, because you don't need a lot. Just less is more with that, and it works really good. So we'll go ahead and get this one on. It has the black back. I kind of wanted a silver back one, but that's all right, because I had planned to do a little different. But this will set enough contrast with the black handle and knobs, so it all worked out in the gimbal. Yeah, there we go. So she's getting right down there. The whole top end is done. And we're just going to come down to the heating element and all the wiring and stuff. That's going to be the next time. And I probably won't show you necessarily how to do that. You should read up and do that stuff yourself so that you're competent in it. But we got some tomatoes, some scrambled eggs, and we got some avocado toast. And we might have to turn on those other machines right after and have another little latte. So anyhow, look at that. There she is. The initial project almost done. There's the top end. Gauges are on, handles on, moves up and down. That's always good. Yeah, that looks good. We'll get all that kind of straightened up. We'll tighten up these just a tiny bit more, and not a lot, just so they're snug. I like to go back over everything. I don't tighten it all the way down at first. Pretty snug, but I like to just go over things anyway. So this way you won't overdo it and do something silly. And there she is. Yeah, this is going to be epic. And then I think for the badge in front, we're going to go with the red one. But there it is. Voila, next one, we're going to do the wiring. You got it.